They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We sang along to Hannah Montana's Nobody's Perfect with such trust and idolization when we were younger. When we were in elementary school, we were told to be ourselves because everybody else is taken. Isn't it ironic that society advises everybody else to do these things when we as a society persecute those who are unapologetically themselves? We tell others that they need to lose some weight or buy some makeup when they aren't what we deem as the perfect person. How many selfies have you taken this week? I can say I've probably taken hundreds. Did you spend hours on end trying to take that perfect selfie? Because if I'm being honest, I did. Growing up, I never felt particularly different to my peers. I played like them, enjoyed the same movies and TV shows as them. I even revamped my entire closet to be strictly just as Sinclair's like them. There were some instances, however, like when I'd get weighed by the school nurse or be doing something like the beep test, where I would get some uncanny looks, but I wasn't old enough to understand them. It wasn't until the second grade where I'd been called something not very nice by a classmate of mine. It was almost the end of our first period, and everybody was so eager to get to snack, to interact with our friends from other classes, and more importantly, to eat. Everybody was complaining about their hunger, even though we'd eaten maybe an hour ago. As I was persistently grumbling about my hunger, the boy next to me seemed to have had enough of all the complaints. He turned to me and said, "Stop complaining. All you care about is food. That's probably why you're so fat." Second grade me couldn't believe what he had just called me. I wanted to break down and cry right then and there. 11th grade me knows that he was really young and probably didn't know any better. This moment, though, whilst very brief, opened a gateway for the withstanding self hatred and insecurity I was going to harbor for the many years to come. As I continued on with the journey of my youth, the weight related comments also continued. I was told by countless doctors that I needed to lose weight in order to prevent future health issues. Middle school was probably when my insecurities intensified even more, with the girls around me being skinny size zeros, which I considered to be perfect. This only fueled me to go on a number of unsuccessful crash diets that only made me feel worse about myself because they'd only worked for 2 weeks but weren't healthy enough to make a long term difference. It wasn't until I got to the eighth grade that I decided that I was finally going to lose the weight. I started to eat nutritious foods rather than find diets online. I went to the gym and continued on my dance classes and put my mind to it and eventually lost 25 kilograms. The dream that I had been yearning for so many years had finally come true. And I was meant to be the happiest I could ever be, right? Wrong. Even though I was happy with my progress and felt healthier internally, I still felt like the girl I did before I lost the weight. When I looked in the mirror, I was still insecure about my weight, so I started to lose even more weight, and even more, and even more, until I quickly went from healthy to unhealthy. According to BDD.org, about 1 in 50 of the population have or will develop a disorder known as body dysmorphic disorder. BDD is essentially when an individual is concerned about a flaw or many flaws in the way they look that most of the time can't even be perceived by others. I know, it's crazy that your brain is powerful enough to make you see an image that's not even reality. A person with BDD will often go to strenuous lengths in order to hide or take away that flaw. Moreover, of the population that do have BDD, 3% are those who have undergone major weight loss and still believe they are as big or even bigger than they were before. For example, on her blog Chris Get Fit, 28-year-old woman Sarah Dothwin confessed that although she lost a tremendous 70 pounds in the past 4 years, she still felt like a plus size woman mentally, emotionally, and physically. Because of my BDD, I still felt the need to lose even more weight, which caused me to go into an unhealthy cycle of undereating and overexercising. This took a toll on my physical health because I lost most of my hair due to lack of nutrients, but it more importantly took a toll on my mental health. I was constantly thinking about food, yet I felt guilty when it was something that was unhealthy. I missed out on birthdays and get togethers because I knew that there was going to be unhealthy food there. I was stressed, frustrated, and easily agitated. A large amount of my time and effort was spent on food and exercise. And not because I wanted to be healthy, which I wasn't being, but because I wanted to look perfect. Perfectionism comes in many forms. Physical, which I just spoke about, is a major one. But if you're one of those people who's blessed with a metabolism as fast as a Ferrari or clear skin, reminder that those people deal with their own forms of insecurity, then you're probably dealing with one that many students are troubled by: perfectionism in terms of academics. I know it sounds great to say that you have a 4.0 GPA because, well, that's perfect. A 2017 study made by Johns Hopkins University found that 47%, almost half of American teens, are graduating with grades in the A minus to A plus range. It's fair to say that high school students have gradually started working harder, but in frequent cases, this persistence came to be due to pressure to excel from outside factors like family, especially if you come from a culture like mine that doesn't tend to accept lower grades. Another pressure factor is top universities like Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, we all know them. Schools like that require very high grades to attend, and a number of extracurricular activities you must be doing whilst maintaining those grades. Because of this pressure, students can get very stressed, which can result in them developing things like anxiety disorders. Students may also turn to alcohol and drugs in order to cope with that stress. One student told Christian Carter, the author of the article High GPAs, Low Happiness, that when he feels especially stressed out, intoxication is the best way out. Sometimes, though, these pressures may actually come from the person themselves. Thomas Curran, a researcher with a PhD from the University of Bath, and Andrew Hill, a PhD from York St. John University, studied data from 41,461 American, Canadian, and British college students from the multidimensional perfectionism scale study. This study looked at how the idea of perfectionism has changed between the years 1989 and 2016. They measured three different types of perfectionism: self-oriented, socially prescribed, and other-oriented. The study showed that the pressure of perfectionism has substantially increased between 1989 and 2016, and that the self-oriented perfectionism, which usually comes in the form of grades or performance in activities or hobbies, increased by 10%. The same study also found that over 20% of youth who committed suicide had a habit of creating exceedingly high expectations of themselves. I asked 5 of my friends if they ever put pressure on themselves to be perfect in their grades or performance in extracurricular activities, and all 5 said yes. Their reasoning, which is similar to mine, is that they know that they have a higher potential than what they are reaching at that moment. But when does it stop? When do you finally reach that potential and de-stress? The truth is, you never do. I didn't. I still felt the need to lose even more weight. And this only makes me wonder what the point of all that stress is. I mean, it's a good thing working hard to achieve your goals, but sometimes we take away from our happiness to do that. We as humans have adapted to be perfect in every aspect of our lives. And it's probable that a main reason for this is societal influences. Okay, I know we can't just blame society because, well, we are society, but that also means that because we introduce these standards, we have the power to get rid of them. Over the years, societal standards of beauty, intelligence, gender, etc. have become exceptionally harder to attain, and this spans across all age groups, genders, and ethnicities. Returning back to the multidimensional perfectionism scale study, the study also showed that the socially prescribed perfectionism was the highest to have increased, rising up 33% since 1989. It's probable that a main reason for this is the emergence of social media, where people now have a platform where they can edit things to look a certain way in front of the eyes of others, and to look perfect in the eyes of others. I know some people like to say that they aren't insecure by the way that they look, but come on, think about a time you so wanted to post a photo on social media, but you thought you looked ugly in it, or fat, or that it wasn't going to get a lot of likes. As great as social media is, because we get to interact with people across the world, it's also made society obsessed with the way that others see you, and really has equated your self-worth with the amount of likes or followers that you have. As bad as it sounds, I'll sometimes go on a person's Instagram page and make subconscious opinions about them based on the number of likes they have or a pic that they posted on Instagram, and I can make negative and positive feelings about someone in just one swipe because they're showing off what is or isn't considered perfect by society. Overall, after all of these years of trying to look perfect, I can't say I will never not post a photo on Instagram because I don't like the way that I look. But what I've come to realize is perfectionism will never exist. We as humans are made to have flaws. If we excel in one thing, we might not in another. But that's okay because these flaws, they make up who we are, our experiences, and memories. I can't remember how many times my friends and I laughed at an embarrassing or ugly photo. I mean, what would life be without double chin pics? Our memories with our families and friends, that's what makes us the happiest. We shouldn't strive to look a certain way or act a certain way or put impossible standards on ourselves because honestly, there's so much more to life than striving for perfection.